The year is 2010. You are shouting racial slurs at someone from across the country. You do a 360 no-scope with the intervention. Life is good. Could it ever get better? Yes, it could. You could actually be shooting the M200 intervention. Right here, we have the CheyTac Intervention, a legendary weapon. Now, this particular guy right here weighs about 30 pounds with no optic, no ammo, so I'm going to set it down for a second. This is chambered in either 408 CheyTac or 375 CheyTac. This one is in 375, which could be argued is an even longer range round compared to the 408. This is a legendary weapon for many reasons. It looks different, it performs different, it has extremely long kill records, and in addition to that, it is one of the most iconic sniper rifles to have ever been featured in a video game, in my mind, ever. So hope you guys will enjoy, as today we shoot, we talk about, and we fully test the M200 Intervention. Now, this M200 Intervention is not ours. It belongs to Tier 1 Concealment. Thank you for letting us use this.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
We actually were about to buy it, and he bought it, like, right out from under us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the free ammo.
Yeah.
Now, of course, before we get into shooting this very expensive weapon, we have to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, who's who, Micah?
Primary Arms, providing you with any M200 intervention optics you could ever need. Free candy, trick or treat, show up to their doorstep.
Micah said it best. Primary Arms, we love them. We love their optics. We love all the optic choices that they present. So go and check them out. Tell them how much you love them for supporting the channel and keeping this content free. And of course, we cannot forget Night Vision Network. Whether you want to see dudes with thermal or whether you want to see dudes at night, they are the people to go to. You can buy, you can rent. So if you don't have the money to buy it right off the bat and you want to, test out some different options, go and check out Night Vision Network. Big thank you to them. Mantis, of course, if you want to get better at shooting, we do recommend dry fire.
They just came out with their CheyTac M200 kit.
They did not, but that being said, all the dry fire I did with Mantis has allowed me to beat Micah from shooting off the bench. So I would say it works. Go and check that. Micah's going to cut that out. Ammunition sponsored by AAC, but in this case, this ammunition had to be purchased because, quite frankly, 375 CheyTac is a, I wouldn't say unicorn round, just expensive. Just really, really expensive. The M200 Intervention, lots of testing to be done today, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to group it. We're going to see what the accuracy is, we're going to zero the optic, and then we're going to print a 3-round group. Ammunition is very expensive, so we're going to keep it to 3 rounds. After that, we'll be shooting far out here. We have shots well outside of a mile, which is well within the engagement distance of the M200. Now, it should be noted, this is known to be one of the most accurate rifles out to 2,000 and can engage well past that. There is a documented kill with one of these from the United Kingdom, from the SAS, with a shot at about 2,500 yards. So the gun's got it. Right, let's go ahead and group it. Okay, we just did our initial group with the 375 CheyTac. This is the M200 Intervention. This is a very large round. How many grains is this one?
377.
377 grains, traveling at about 2960 feet per second. That is screaming for this weight. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna see what we're getting as far as our groups, and we'll
You need
talk
some
about
Bluetooth for that antenna?
Yeah, I think I might, man. All right, we have our initial group with the M200. So when zeroing on this guy, we have about $17 per round. So we have, we'll change that to, we'll say $15 for easy math. So $15, 30, 45. Then we got it dialed. These are three round group, just touching each other. That is, as it stands right there, about a 0.25 MOA group. This is known to be hold about a 10-inch group at 2,000. So it seems to be fairly indicative of the typical accuracy that you see out of the M200, which we could describe as psychotically, extremely murderously accurate. Okay, we're getting about 9.8 SD from this particular ammunition. The one thing I do want to note with the M200 Intervention is that although my group is very tight, the gun is more than likely capable of far greater accuracy. This is 100% a weapon that is probably more accurate than the shooter. The gun can do it. The question is, can the shooter do it? I'm a good shot, but my specialty is not specifically long range, although we do shoot long range and I do believe this gun would likely be capable of something closer to about 0.1 MOA at 100. So we've grouped the gun. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually begin to shoot it at distance. Obviously there's a lot of skill that comes into play when shooting distance, but if you have a nice round that is very flat, very powerful, resists wind, something like the 375 CheyTac, or what do you call it, Micah?
The 357 CheyTac.
375. We're going to see how flat this guy shoots. We're going to compete against each other. We're going to see what it looks like at long range. Now, if you're wondering what the round looks like, we have, I don't know why I crawled over on my knees over. We have a 5.56. We have 308. Then we have 375 CheyTac. This is the round that Liberals think fires out an AR-15. First target we're going to shoot at is about 800. We have about a 4.5 mils of drop going down into there, so we're going to go ahead and dial for that. We're going to take our shot. Micah's going to try it out too. We're going to see how the recoil feels, tell you a little bit about it. Then we should be able to walk this guy out well past a mile. Right, first shot about 790, just a smidge under 800. Should really be no problem for this round. Let's see how flat she is. Just off left shoulder. Good. Well,
That smacks that steel with some authority.
it's hard. The recoil on this gun is really, really gentle for what it is. I would say about 30 to 40% less than a 50 cal, which is, it's putting about the same, not the same amount of energy, but in terms of range, it's about there. So it feels good with the break, very easy to keep it back on target, very quick to cycle. It is a long action, but it's smooth. Feels good, feels really good. I was able to watch trace after the shot, which is exactly what you want. What I mean by that is when I pull the trigger, the gun goes off, I can see the round travel through the air into the target. So even with the spot, I was able to make that quick correction, fire again, so. Yeah, I was shooting bottom right, Micah, but that's probably me. Okay. Good.
That's too easy. What was that, 750?
That's 790.
790. That's a good starting
How'd that
distance for
recoil
this
feel
gun.
for you?
Huh?
How'd that recoil feel?
Too good. I didn't even come off target.
You gotta love it.
That's awesome. What are you thinking about?
Long range. So Micah was just talking about it. Usually most rifles, we start at like 300 and we walk it out to about 700 and we're kind of at the edge. Even talking like longer range weapons like 6.5, you're kind of starting to have some issues at about 1200. Okay, let's shoot at 1220.
Impact. Woo! First round.
Well,
That's crazy. Yeah.
that was incredibly satisfying. That just feels good. You can watch your trace the entire way through. Like, I was kind of in disbelief watching the trace. I'm like, oh, that's just impact. I held barely on the right edge of the target just for the wind.
So I hold dead center or hold like the
I
right
held
edge?
dead center right edge.
You really weren't lying.
How do you feel?
I immediately just like reacquired target and it just goes donk.
Very satisfying.
Wow.
So pretty easy so far, shooting out to about 1200. So we're hardly stretching the legs on the intervention. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna shoot at a mile and see what we get. See how we do. Just above.
Yep.
That was off right.
Impact.
Okay, a little bit of doing to get it dialed precisely to where I needed. But to be fair, we haven't trued the gun yet, So there's a little bit of guesswork in getting the shot on, but luckily it's easy to see the impacts on the berm. It's easy to see the trace. It's easy to make those corrections. So for a mild shot, quite easy to do. Micah, you're up next. Luckily it's just holding the left edge of center and you're good to go, man.
All right, this is gonna be my furthest shot I've ever done, Mike.
Is it really?
Yeah, I've never gone this far. 1200 is the furthest I've ever gone.
Impact.
My first try. I made a 1 mile impact.
Yeah, that's like the sword in the stone. Like I loosened it.
Yeah, you already got the dope. I knew where to hold. Yeah. So you could have said like, "Good job, Micah," but instead you had to be like, "Yeah, but I did all the work for you."
Well, I have a complex. All right, we are now shooting at 2,000. Got it.
Woo! Nice. Is that your further shot?
2,000? Yeah. That was a good time. Now this video is brought to you by...
My belt.
Who are you?
I'm Hunter Constantine, and this is the Constantine Concealed Carry Belt. I'm a Grandmaster competition shooter and an EDC connoisseur, and I made one of the most comfortable belts on the market.
Stretchy.
Stretchy. Form fits to your body. We got a rigid portion in front for any size gun.
Is that good?
So we designed a hook and loop design for this buckle that's easy on, easy off, but more importantly, it's super low profile. So it sits flush on your waist, no bulky ratchets, no Cobra buckles, none of that stuff. It's a nice thin profile on your body.
I hate when you like kind of look fat with a concealed carry.
Dude, right? You work hard for that body.
Well, Trent works hard.
And he looks good in a bathtub full of butter. First of all, these are made in the USA, very compliant by small businesses around this country. No pinching on your hips, no pinching on your back. It moves with your body so you can drive all day long.
That's what it feels like, I guess. It's just...
And more importantly, you can save a little bread so you can have more money for ammo using code GRANDTHUMB.
Love to see it. Thank you so much. Guys, back to the video. We're out here at beautiful Defender Ranch in Idaho. We've done a lot of shooting. Now we're gonna do a lot of talking because, again, every round was extremely expensive. So we're gonna go through this rifle tip to butt as we usually do. We're gonna talk a little bit about the history of the rifle, about its application in military work, and a lot of our thoughts about it. And I wanna be clear, my training in the military was never as a sniper or as a designated marksman. That being said, we have done a lot of long-range shooting and we've gotten a lot of opinions from different military members who've had time in this rifle, specifically within the United Kingdom Armed Forces, SAS, and thereforth. We're gonna start right here, the basis of the weapon. The barrels can be swapped out. So we do have it in 375 CheyTac right now, or CheyTac, however you wanna say it. And there's also the 408 CheyTac. From everything that I've seen, the 375 tends to outperform the 408 in terms of distance, although the 408 is a much larger projectile. It really depends on what you're trying to get done with the gun. So right here, as you can see, we do have a fluted barrel. They are fairly thick for obvious reasons, being that this is a sniper rifle. This is meant to be able to, one, withstand heat, be able to hold heat and dissipate it. The fluting is gonna help with radiation of that heat as well as weight. And that thicker material is going to help it withstand a lot of the wandering zero that you see with thinner barrels. So this has all worked out very well. Very clearly, this weapon has proven itself to be very good at holding groups. Again, the record is with this guy for longest, smallest group at 2,000 yards at 10 inches. If we come out to the break right here, you can see the break is very effective and very aggressive. Now there are suppressors, of course, for this. We don't have a suppressor on here because we wanted to be able to blow dry our hair as we were shooting this guy, especially for Micah being off to the side of the gun. The good thing about the break is that, especially from firing from very far distances, there is some argument for a suppressor not being as necessary. I think in a combat situation, a suppressor is always better in terms of containing flash. But during daytime shooting and stuff, the break is extremely effective. You're not gonna really need it as much, need the suppressor as much to contain that flash. So the brake does very well in keeping the rifle from jumping or indeed from moving at all. And as you can see from all the shooting that we've done so far, it's fairly easy to fire a round and then watch the trace, make sure that that round is impacting where you need, and then to quickly make either a correction or a follow-up shot or whatever you need to do. Moving back from the barrel, we have this free float tube right here, and we're getting into the very kind of iconic parts of the intervention. So the question is, what is this all for? What is it designed for? So being that the further out we have any type of material, the more weight we're adding to the weapon. This is already a heavy gun at approximately 30 pounds. Adding ammunition, optic, we're getting closer to 35. So if we have anything further out to support a bipod, we're adding more weight unnecessarily out towards the end. So what we have is this free float tube is where the bipod is connecting to. That way it's not making contact with the barrel. Because of that, we don't have any type of pressure being put on the barrel that could shift zero for these longer shots, which is extremely important for long range shooting. It's a principle that has been known for a long time. Now, this bipod is foldable. It can be stowed. We're simply going to pull down, we can rotate it to the front, or we can rotate it to the rear in order to stow it. So right here, we'll have it down so we can use it. In terms of use, it is fairly good at what it's for, which is long range shooting. I find it fairly stable. You could always have something a little bit better. I do prefer some other bipods, but this is built in. You got what you got, and it looks iconic. Now, moving back, moving down from there, we do have probably the coolest, most iconic part of the intervention. That's the carry handle. So the idea being, this guy weighs a lot. If you're going to transport it by hand, moving it, they needed the carry handle. As far as the actual application, how necessary carry handle is on a sniper rifle, that's a little bit more dubious of a qualification. John, you've shot quite a few sniper rifles and carried them. What do you think? Do you think it needs a carry handle?
No, you end up just slinging it or throwing it over a pack at most. Like, that thing seems pretty useless, to be honest.
Oh yeah, well, what'd you do in the military, John?
Absolutely nothing.
He doesn't even toot his own horn, dude. Well, I think you're stupid, John, because this is super cool. Seems pretty comfy to me.
If it's so cool, why don't you go back and check that 1,600-yard target and come back to us and let us know how many hits we got on it.
Dude, I'll go right now.
All right.
I'm taking my intervention and I'm going home.
I don't know if it's that useful, but it is cool. It looks cool. And you can remove it if you want to, but why would you ever remove it? Because then it doesn't even look like an intervention anymore. Going back from the carry handle, we do have the magazine. The magazine is 7-round magazine for the 375. There are 5-round magazines as well. Don't want to limit yourself. And the 7 looks very cool. We have a simple release right here on the bottom. Single feed mechanism on this guy. And as long as I can get it in, there we go. Always difficult getting it in. That's fairly easy to operate and to deal with. The action is a long action right here. And you can see, despite it being a fairly long action, it is very, very smooth to operate. So when we rotate it up, like as far as like the ability to quickly cycle this guy, it feels pretty good. We've actually put about, what would you say, Mike, about 75 rounds on it so far today?
About 75?
75?
Yeah, close to 70. Yeah, maybe a little more, maybe a little less.
Just a lot of money, basically.
Can I be honest? Like, you know, everyone watching this, and I mean everyone, knows about this gun from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
100%.
I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 did this gun an injustice when coming to the size of it, because we showed up and you started holding it, and I was like, that is 3 times larger than I thought it was going to be.
I get quick scope. That is heavy. It is. You know, for Modern Warfare, you know, the guys are like sprinting around. What's the thing where you shoot but then you switch?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty freaking hard. We do have our trigger. The trigger is psychotically light. So we're gonna double check to make sure we are clear here, because the last thing we wanna do is roast off a 375 CheyTac round into Elon Musk's satellites. So you can see we have our safety right here. So safety simply rotates in front of the trigger, and then to take it off, push it forward. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna ghost that trigger together. So press it into it. We have a single stage trigger, very light, maybe 3 pounds. Very easy to actuate. Let's try that one more time. Putting pressure into it, 2, maybe 2.
Just insane.
That is light. And that's pretty typical of a lot of precision bolt action guns, that they have psychotically nice triggers. Just makes shooting at distance a little bit easier, and certainly aids when it comes to this gun. Obviously we have our rail right here. We do have a Night Force Beast mounted on here. You did see a lot of Night Forces that were mounted on these guys. We were kind of between this or a ZCO, but this one worked perfectly fine for us. Now when it comes to our optic rail, due to the distances that we're shooting this guy, 2,000 plus, we do have a 40 MOA cant on the rail, or 40 MOA rail. What that means is that your optic is angled 40 MOA already right off the bat. So this is going to be helpful, especially when you're firing long range, you're having to dial, you already have more of that height already built in so that you can make those longer shots. I know that with a lot of these newer long range setups that people are putting the, what are they called, Micah? Those
TACOMs?
Yeah, TACOMs in front to kind of add even more range to the guns as well. So there's a lot of ways to do it. 40 MOA rail is going to be big, and 40 MOA is psychotic. Like, the most I'd really ever seen up to this point was 20, but again, long range isn't my specific forte. Now, when it comes to the gun and its abilities, I do really have to note how shootable it is, how simple it is to put rounds on targets that are very far away. It's just a very effective weapon. Now, although a lot of the very long range records weren't made with the Intervention, I think that's due to just time and circumstance and place. The Intervention has made shots at 2,500, and I think that's pretty incredible. Now, moving back to that, we do have our stock right here. So stock is collapsible. We have this little button right here on the side. So we depress that, we can collapse that in, and then to get the adjustment that we need, just to press it and get it to the point that you want. Now, you'll probably notice when we were shooting on this particular guy that we have this cheek piece right here. So this cheek piece isn't my favorite. I do have some issues with it. So it can be adjusted for height. And the biggest problem that we ran into on this guy is, given the height that we had on this mount, with this giant pad right here, we're kind of cantering our head a little bit. So it wasn't the best setup right off the bat, but you work with what you can work with. So I'd probably lower this. I would use some much thinner felt. I understand the need for comfort, but the gun really isn't recoiling that hard. I do not believe that this amount was necessary, and you also really don't need to get the optic that high off the gun to necessitate this much height from the cheek riser. It's a little bit ridiculous. I do like the stock quite a bit. We do have a monopod here at the bottom that can flip out. So you flip that guy out, you can adjust it, give yourself more stability in the field, because you're not always going to have a bag with you. And that brings us to the end of the M200 Intervention.
I want to know why they called it the Intervention. It's probably one of the coolest names of any firearm ever.
Because it's going to intervene in your life permanently.
Someone's life.
Yeah, and it's going to put you in the forever box. The Intervention is, I would say, along with the Barrett Light 50, probably one of the most iconic sniper rifles that has been seen in modern media. I think it's very cool. It's still used, it's still known for being a great weapon, and we have it. It's probably not going to be used much. I think there are other rifles that are doing much the same thing, but a little bit better at this point. I think it's just an iconic weapon. It looks cool. It shoots incredibly well. I have nothing but good things to say about it.
$16 a round.
You know what? I mean, how else are you going to deliver that amount of lead at over 2,000 yards?
50 cal. $5.
50 cal?
When it's important.
Okay, fine. 338.
A 50 cal, you actually did bring up a good point. So the reason the 50 cal is not good as a sniper rifle is the 50 round is the 50 BMG is not, it does not have a good BC, does not have good flight characteristics compared to a lot of these more specifically designed rounds for long range. So 50 BMG is great for machine guns. For a sniper rifle, not so much. It's only so accurate you can get the round. And because of that, it really does tend to falter as far as a long range platform. It's obviously proven itself in the GWAT, it's effective, but there are much better rounds for long range shooting. And one of those would of course be the 375 CheyTac which is really pushing a lot of the technology envelopes for long-range shooting. Anyhow, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed some of the long-range shooting with this guy out to 2,000 yards, and we certainly had a good time shooting it. And as always, guys, we got nothing else for you except for dad advice, which is going to be with Micah Mayfield.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, dad advice. Barrett M107s aren't actually that cool. Okay? CheyTac M200s are way cooler. Bolt action guns are way cooler. If you have 10 grand burning a hole in your pocket, actually just don't buy firearms at all. Save it.